I've been so excited to show you guys something that I've been working on, and I'm thinking that if it works, it might change the way a lot of backyard gardeners garden. And it's something that maybe even some big time farmers might want to use. But I want to share this with you guys, and I'm so excited to do that right now with you. So let's get started. As you can see, there's this container, and in this container is a tomato and 4 corn that I planted. Now you can see I have a bamboo stick in the middle. That's just to give some support to the tomato plant because it's growing big and fast. But my goal is for the corn to grow tall, and as it grows tall, then I can use it as a cage, a living cage, tomato cage for my tomato. And since this corn does grow really tall, your regular tomato cages, like I'll show you this one over here. Your regular tomato cages only go so tall. There's some that are a little taller than this one that I've seen on the market for sale, but they only go so tall. And then what happens is you have all this space up above here that these indeterminate tomatoes will continue to grow up and no support. And last year I used a big stake to stake up the tomato, and then I caged it, and was gonna use the stake to help support the tomato once it got beyond the level of the cage. But this year I thought, okay, well, why not just plant corn? For one, corn is a regular crop that I can get some food from. There's 4 in here, and as they grow, they can pollinate each other. So there's a possibility of me getting more food out of this one little container along with the tomato plant. So the trick is trying to, and what I've been experimenting with is trying to time it right. Getting the corn, I have to plant the corn at least 2 weeks before I plant the tomato in the center of them. But look at this guy, kitty. But right now it's just a matter of trying to dial in when, what's the best option. Direct sow and try and do it a couple of weeks. I start my tomatoes during the winter indoors, so they're ready to get planted when spring gets here. And it's not hot enough outside for the corn. So I think probably like next year I might start some corn in a tray so that I'll have an earlier jump on it. But yeah, this year it was just a little, everything got hot quick, and I could have planted the corn sooner. But then we had a couple of freezing nights thrown in the middle of a whole bunch of hot weather, and so that would have not been good anyways. So I'm still dialing it in, but imagine being able to get rid of this and just do it all natural, just all natural, where you're gonna gain food, more food out of it at the same time. Not just that one crop, but 2 crops growing. So I think it'll work. And as this corn gets taller and taller, and if it's not able to contain the tomato completely, I'll put twine around it at different intervals as it grows to give additional support. Okay, so yesterday I wanted to come out here and talk to you guys and make this video, but it was just so dang windy out here. So now I'm like, okay, well, what about the wind and corn? Corn is not something that is known to withstand strong gusts of wind. But there is a solution. And I'm going to set up everything so I can show you what that solution is. I'll be back. Okay, so I live in the desert. I'm in the high desert of Southern California. And you guys, biggest nemesis I have with my gardening is the wind. And just even now, I just started recording this video because it was still and there was no wind, and now all of a sudden the wind picked up and it's starting to blow just within a matter of minutes. So I am just like, hey, I just noticed that I have a melon that I planted that just popped up right here. I'm so happy about that. But this wind is just crazy. So it's important me knowing that in my area it gets really gusty and windy all the time, that I can stabilize the corn a little bit better. So I was watching this YouTuber. His channel is called Lazy Dog Farm. He made a video about healing corn. Not healing like, okay, this corn is sick, I gotta heal it and make it better, give it medicine, but heal, H-I-L-L, healing corn like you do potatoes. You know, with potatoes, well, I don't do it personally, but a lot of people do it. When you have potatoes, as they grow, you put more compost or straw or whatever on top so that, you know, it keeps it covered and encourages the growth. I don't do it, but a lot of people do, and that's called healing. And you can do that with corn to help stabilize it and make it stronger. Because the roots on corn is not very deep. And they have these anchor roots at the bottom, at the base of the corn. And, but they're not very strong to hold up against strong winds. So, healing. All it is a matter of taking some dirt or some compost or some aged manure, something like that. Let me take this tag out so I don't lose it in there. And just filling it in around your corn, which is good because, I don't know if you guys can see this. I'll bring you in a little bit closer. Inside this bucket, there's about a good 3-inch headspace there that I purposefully left so that I could fill this in. And what's good is tomatoes love having the extra soil on the stem there, because then my tomato will be deeper and will now grow more roots, which will make for a healthier, more sturdier plant. So I'm just gonna fill this all in. And that way my corn will be more stable and sturdy. Okay, so now as you can see, that container is pretty full. So I'm gonna have to even it out around, and then I'm gonna have to go through and trim off some of these lower branches again on my tomato plant, because now the soil level is higher. But you guys, that's gonna be a strong support, make for a strong support for my corn, and it's a benefit for my tomatoes. Now, another thing I want to point out to you is, with this corn growing in here, this area during the afternoon has no shade. There's absolutely no shade over this area. So another benefit of planting the corn in here is that now it's going to provide shade I had to kick my cat out the way because again, he's right there at my feet. But anyways, the corn will provide shade for my tomato plant and keep the sun from it. Corn loves full sun. You drive through where they're growing corn, fields and fields of corn, there's no shade around. The corn loves the sun. And so, as much as people say, you know, tomatoes like a lot of sun too, they don't really. They don't like to be hot. The sun can scald the fruit, can scald the plant. And so the corn is now going to provide a shade shelter for my tomato plant. So we'll see how it goes as it grows. And I will keep you updated as far as how well this is working. But it would be nice. Imagine just buying a pack of corn seed, which is, depending on where you get it, can be anywhere from 50 cents to, you know, $5, but or more. But just imagine being able to buy corn seed and using that to trellis your tomatoes instead of tomato cages. Now I'm going to show you some other ones. Okay, so I showed you this one, and I have a tomato cage, and I have corn also. And so what my hope is that this corn is going to grow up on the outside of the cage. And for this corn, I can tie it to the cage to give the corn stability from the wind, because the wind blows in this way. And so since the wind blows this way, this is exposed. I mean, the tree right here will kind of block some of the wind, but the wind is coming over this wall, and it comes over in full force over this wall, and it funnels through. So this is just to help give some additional stability to the corn that is growing in this container. But there's another container I have over here, I'll show you, that has corn as well. This is one of the first ones that I planted. This one and the other one where I showed you where I put the additional dirt in. But this one is doing really, really good. And this one already has tomatoes on this plant. And I did use a bamboo stick. I don't know if you can see it. It's right here. To stabilize this tomato plant as the corn grows. But I have this one, and hopefully it's going to do the same. And I'm not going to put, because there's so many other things blocking the wind on this one, I'm not going to put a tomato cage in this one. It's just going to be the corn, but I am going to add more soil into the bottom here to help give the corn more stability and strengthen the corn more. But then I have these buckets over here, and as you can see, there's corn growing up in here, and I planted the tomato in the middle there. Now this tomato plant I started later, so that's why it's smaller, but I was able to get that corn in there and get the corn started, and the corn is now outpacing the tomato, which is great. And with us having the hot weather, it's going to even grow faster. So, but then I have like this one, and it doesn't have, all the corn didn't come up, so the extras that's in this one, I'm going to try and transplant them over here if they're not too big already. Okay, so I do have these caged. As you can see, they are caged, but I also have corn growing in them. The corn, though, didn't come up as well over here. So I had started some more corn, and I'll show you where I started some more corn to be able to improvise and put in here to help these contain these plants. But I have these cages on these because, like I said, the wind comes over this wall and funnels through and will wreak havoc on these plants if I just had them sitting here with just the cages. I've had whole plants blow over that I had in this bed blow over, and I had to try and tie them all together and stuff, tie the cages together. So I have these. And then I have these. Now I started planting corn in these. The corn didn't all come up. But same thing. Tomato cages. And then I'm going to grow the corn on the outside and tie the corn to the cages to help lock them in better. And I will come back around and mound some more dirt up around these and heal around the corn and the tomato plant. So that I will do. And then over here is the same difference. Even though I have that peach tree there to kind of block, be like a wind block for these, it still gets really, really windy. And like this one broke. And there was over on the other ones I just showed you, there was a couple of them that broke because of the wind that I showed you on the previous video. And so I am just trying to figure out ways that I can phase out these tomato cages. But I want to see how well they work in conjunction with the corn and see how they work with just the corn and without the cages. So we shall see. Wow, it's so hot today. I have to put some more water in this tray. I had water, tested it for water yesterday, but today is another day, and these pumpkin seedlings are starting to look really bad. But this corn I started about a couple of weeks ago and inside, and so that's what I'm going to use to fill in where some of them didn't take in some of the containers and stuff. So I'm going to put these in, and they'll grow fast because it's hot. Like I said, we're having 90-degree weather like all week long, and that's why a lot of stuff is suffering that I have in this tray. So I'm going to get this watered, but I just wanted to show you that I have more that I'm trying to that I'm growing. And like I said, I don't have it down to a science yet, but I know that it's best to start the corn and give the corn a head start over the tomatoes. Hopefully by the end of this season, after I finish working on all these different stages of growth, I'll have some more solid information to share with you on when's a good time to start the corn. Is it better to start it direct seeded and start it early, and then, or started indoors even earlier, and then put that corn and wait for it to adjust and take off, and then add the tomatoes. So we'll see. Here are some additional ways that I am trellising my tomatoes. This one is a dwarf tomato, but I'm going to utilize this metal stake that's in the ground, and I am going to tie it to that as it grows. And then here, a friend gave me some bamboo sticks, so I tied them together to make a teepee for this tomato. And I have used single bamboo stakes as well to clip the tomato plant to give it additional stability. I am going to have to try and get these corn, you see the corn around it, so that string them together to cage in that tomato. Hopefully as they grow, that's what they'll do. So not just in the containers do I have this experiment working, but I have them also, I'm experimenting also in my raised beds with the corn. I am using string to trellis my tomatoes as well. I tried this last year and it did okay until I got lazy about it at the end, towards the end of the season. But as you can see, I have them supported by this twine. So that is just another method in which I am trellising my tomatoes this season. And then I have this tomato plant growing up this trellis. Last year, if you remember, if you watched any of my videos from last year, I had a midnight snack cherry tomato on here, and it worked out pretty good. It worked out pretty good, so I'm using this trellis again for this tomato. And I'll go through in a later video as I do my garden tours and stuff, and I'll tell you what all the different varieties are. I hope you guys stay with me for this journey as I try and get this dialed in and try and discover a new natural way of containing my tomato plants. A living trellis that I can grow food on or that will give me food as well as shade and stability for my plant, so that it can grow and grow well without breaking my pocketbook. So, and that was all that I wanted to do. I tried to find videos out there of anything like this, and I found like the sunflowers, which I already knew, and you know how people do this, the Three Sisters with the corn, which I already knew, but I can't find anything on living trellises using corn. So I'm curious to see how well this is going to work. If you're curious too, then click that subscribe button, because I will have regular updates to show you how this turns out and if it's something worth doing. And so you guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and I really didn't want it to be long. I just wanted to jump on here and show you guys while I had the opportunity of what I'm up to, what I've been doing. So as always, you guys, God bless.